Bret Hart. I think Bret Hart, he didn't have many weaknesses as a performer, but he took himself way too seriously.
Yes. So he brought this idea to Vince, and this is when he appeared as the macho midget in his feud against Dink. What are you laughing at, man?
What, like Roman Reigns has more personality?
He's a talented... No, he has no personality, but he's a talented wrestler.
But Lex Luger versus Roman Reigns' personality.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. But that's like comparing cardboard.
Okay, alright then, alright.
What are your top 5 wrestlers of all time?
You go first. Hello everybody, my name's Dom.
And I'm Ant.
And we are the Give Me a Whole Year Wrestling podcast.
And what are we looking at today, Dom?
Wrestlemania... how do you say 10 in French? I was going to say 10 in French.
I don't know, man. I don't know, French. It's been a long time since I've been at school.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, so how many WrestleManias have we watched to get to this point, Dom?
10.
Wrong, 9.
Oh. Well, no, because we watched it. We watched it.
The question was, how many did we watch to get to this point?
No,
it's okay, it's alright.
No, to get to this point right here.
Was not your strong point. Maths was not your strong point.
You're wrong.
Madison Square Garden.
No. We're here. And we got here because we've just watched WrestleMania 10.
Very good. We are here.
I've got 2 words for you.
My house. Right, the Madison Square Garden, WrestleMania 10, 20th of March, 1994. Really good WrestleMania in general. Really excited to talk about this one. There's 2 great matches in it that we'll go into a lot of detail about. We've had some great build-up with the Owen and Bret stuff, and we're going to talk all about it, man.
Really central.
Yeah, it is. It's prominent, and this is a really great WrestleMania. This is one of the best WrestleManias that there is to watch.
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about the time. Let's take you back into a time machine. UK #1 at the time was Dupe. I forget you did this. This is great, man. Like, it's a really good tune, actually. It's awful, man. It's like a Charleston techno weird thing.
I loved it. It's not quite as good as the theme, you know.
It's
You're
just like, dude. And the film was House of Spirits, which I've never seen, so let's move on from that. Again, if you've not seen us before, please hit up our podcast. We are the Give Me a Whole Year Wrestling podcast.
Or the Gayers.
And we are on YouTube. Subscribe to us and watch all of our pay-per-view videos. We've covered everything up to WrestleMania 10.
And we're going to continue to do that.
And
until we die.
Until we die.
We'll be here for you, all 5 of you, or hopefully many more, that will watch us until we die. Obviously, you know, we'll take any questions, any comments. We live in an interactive age. Yeah, interact with us.
Hit us up on Facebook, man.
Ask us about our favourite colour, even, or our top 5 favourite wrestlers, which we're about to answer at the end of this podcast.
We'll be answering that at the end of the podcast.
We'll take questions about the colour of our underwear, whatever you want. We will answer within reason, because obviously YouTube, we gotta stay PC or all sensible for YouTube. No swearing here on the Gay podcast.
Start of the show. You're Little Richard.
Oh God.
You see, I really like Little Richard, man. Tutti Frutti, man.
It's like,
I know it's a really rubbish cover of America the Beautiful, but he had a full choir around him, even though there was one guy.
But give you a full choir around you, and we'd put a pretty entertaining, national anthem together.
Be glorious.
Yeah. I'm not saying it'd be glorious. It would be glorious. It'd be more like I don't know,
acceptable.
Kind of rubbish, but entertaining.
Thanks, man.
Your voice would be terrible.
Thanks, dude.
But the entertainment value of it would be exceptional.
Great.
You're an exceptional entertainer.
Thanks, sweetheart. Thank you. Little Richard, man. I think he rocks. Tutti Frutti.
No.
Tutti Frutti. He was like the first glam rock star, man.
I'm not doing it.
If you trace back glam rock, like Little Richard is sort of the birth of that. A dude wearing makeup, man.
It's cool.
In the 60s. It's awesome, man. It's awesome. Really like his stuff. Back to decent commentator team. We had $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase at the Royal Rumble 94. Didn't work as well as we expected, did it, man?
No.
But here we have Jerry Lawler and Vince McMahon, which is okay. It's acceptable. Vince actually does a really quite good job at times in this.
Yeah, which is best showing I've seen him do.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And this is the first ever WrestleMania to not feature Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan, the Gimme a Hull Yeah
Hogan.
Hogan.
The Gimme a Hull Yeah Hogan.
So that's quite big.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, massive. And they did all right without him.
And look at how good it was.
Because they were starting to rely on new people. They were putting guys like Owen Hart, which is what they should have been doing. What any good business should do, in my mind, is focus on the emerging talent. That's how you keep a brand going, and that's what they managed to do with Owen, and to a lesser extent, obviously, the slightly older Bret Hart.
I think if you look at like WrestleMania 9 and the sort of mess that was, and I don't put the entire blame on Hogan, but a big portion of it goes to Hogan. Yeah. And he's gone, and actually we get a really entertaining pay-per-view here. Yep. So let's go into the first match. This will be... I don't think you can top this as an opening match for WrestleMania.
No, I don't think it's ever been...
The ladder match recently with Daniel Bryan when he won was a great opener to WrestleMania, but I don't think it's as good as this.
You mean the Intercontinental title one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is one of the greatest matches, the greatest opening matches you could ever imagine at WrestleMania. I've got a few issues in terms of where it comes in the card, actually, but we'll go into that a bit later. So
there were lesser matches following.
Yes, yeah.
So it kind of was like you have a monumental, exciting moment. You know, the crescendo.
Yes.
The mountainous, beautiful landscape.
Well, this wasn't WrestleMania is good with a fun match.
You go from the mountain with the landscape, to like
wow, what are you like Bob Ross?
To like like Springbank,
Hull reference,
which is a Hull reference. Brands Home.
Yeah,
so I'm saying they're not beautiful places for people to watch. But it's not quite Paris. Not quite.
Not Milan.
It's not Milan, is it? It's not Kirkella.
No. So we get a video package leading into of everything that's happened leading up to the event, and the storyline going into WrestleMania. We've loved it, going back and watching it. Even the sort of fracture at Survivor Series, which I'd completely forgot about. It wasn't as well done, but that Royal Rumble split was so. I mean, that was the highlight of that Royal Rumble show.
Yeah, it was some really good moments, man. Like. I think again, this is a time period where WWE draw from quite regularly in terms of its storylines. The fractured relationships, the brotherly kind of, family feuds, that kind of thing. And
all this is happening at a time when wrestling it was impacted by the steroid trial, by losing all these top guys, and it forced them to think on the feet. And the new generation era in general has some really rubbish pay-per-views, but also it has this incredible pay-per-view. It has King of the Ring 93, which is an incredible pay-per-view. It's great, to
it's
go
a
back
good time.
And watch.
It's a very good time.
It is. It's an interesting. It's a very rollercoaster time.
How we say like now. Now we were talking about this earlier, now we have NXT that grabs our attention over Raw and SmackDown. This was a time in wrestling when they had the time limits right. You weren't doing 3-hour anything at this point. This was a time where you could watch a Raw or a SmackDown, and it would feel almost like a pay-per-view. It would feel the importance of it every week was something valuable.
It was a lot more important.
Whereas now it's kind of like a throwaway thing.
It's watered down, and you can watch it on YouTube and get the gist of what's going on.
Which I think is what makes a soap opera good, and effectively it's a soap opera. But this time you genuinely felt, maybe it was because we were younger, maybe I was a lot younger, I was more invested in it, but certainly shorter, more succinct, to the point matches than we have now.
Most of the time, I agree. Pyro from the roof to signal the start of the show. The WrestleMania 10 entrance, let's talk a little bit about that, because that's great, isn't it? It's not a massive ramp, it's just that door with the X on it, and the X sort of slides open really nicely. Clever little design. It looks great.
They could do that now, and it would look cool.
Exactly. And then they have the sort of what's a 6-sided shape or an 8-sided shape. Let's say I think it's 6 sides, and I don't know what that is.
I'm a little. It's probably.
We know you're bad at maths. You didn't even know how many WrestleManias we've watched prior.
We did no, because I was technically correct. So wait a second. This is what this laptop is here for. 6-sided shape. Carry on, Anthony.
Okay, no problem. So the doors open up to
a hexagon.
A hexagon, simple.
There you go.
Should have known that. Owen Hart enters, it is revealed by the doors opening, and we get some great strong colours as he's coming
intensity,
through.
man,
it looks great,
yeah,
and we know that this is a massive match from
Yeah.
everything we've seen.
Yeah.
Owen fights in his Hart colours.
I think that was clever. Honestly,
It was clever.
It was a psychological thing.
It was very clever.
Vince and they probably did, but I like to think that they didn't think about it, and we were the first people to think about it. You know, that on a psychological level, Owen was doing that to
I'm sure. No, I'm positive that they'll have had conversations about it backstage. About we've now turned Owen into a heel. Do we change his colours? But actually, it's more about a feud of the Hart name, if you like, and that sort of prestigity and the brothers that would
have been a clever thing for them to do. At that time, was who would take the Hart name? We've done it a few times since.
With like the Hardys
and stuff in TNA.
Bret wanted to renegotiate his contract and sent a letter to Vince suggesting that he wanted out, and Vince put the match the match forward to Bret to sort of keep him within the company. Bret, I think he said in more recent times that he had no intention of leaving the company whatsoever. He just wanted to get a little bit
leverage.
Yeah, leverage. I mean, we're working in a company which had like Hogan and that sort of era, and it's great, and he got to fight with his brother. We have already sort of gone into in one of our past episodes about how Bret wanted to, how Vince initially wanted it to be Bruce Hart that he was feuding with.
Yeah, it was odd that, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, but Owen, I mean, it's great, and what a platform for Owen.
It's incredible.
And Owen is great in this match. Whenever Bret does something to it, he ends up scowling at Owen, and it's so angry. So a lot of the story of this match is that Owen does something and then Bret does it slightly better, and that's a brilliant storytelling technique.
It's very clever. It was a bit like I'm better than you.
Yes. Your move had this much impact. My move is going to have this much more impact.
It's psychological. It's a bit like how me and you sit here, and I'm clearly the better voice of the two. So I'm just like, it's okay. You sit here with your beard.
But you still let me talk.
You sit here with your beard.
And then you just say something that cuts through the rubbish that I speak.
And you're just there sitting there with your beard looking pretty.
Thank you. Thank you. So one of us has to have the looks.
Well, obviously.
Bret keeps getting Owen out of the ring, which gives Owen time to show this amazing character work of frustration at the start of the match.
Yeah.
The match has a lot of smaller spots to build to it, and then it'll end with a slam or a crossbody. And then instead of sort of resting on the floor, they're straight into a hold or a headlock or something. Yeah. It's really smart technical wrestling, and this is why people love Bret Hart as a technical wrestler. And where is it where technical wrestling comes from?
What,
I mean,
what do you mean?
Well,
wrestling's been going for years.
I know, but like people were referring to it as like as a very mat-based technician and things like this. Like when you talk about like Macho Man, you think High Flyer. When you talk about Hogan, you think Powerhouse. I can't really think of
Savage was more technical wrestler.
Would you? Well, he was sort of a mix, wasn't he? Sorry, just on.
Sorry. I don't know if it was the birth of it, but certainly in modern wrestling culture, perhaps.
The storyline was that
in sports entertainment.
Yes, the storyline was that he was the superior wrestling because of the heritage and so the technical wrestling aspect of it come out a lot more. I feel is what I'm sort of trying to say. I think
you know how in movies they do this quite often, where you have the guy, the protege, and he wants to prove himself.
Yes,
and the master, you have to be patient.
Yeah.
But the protege doesn't want to be patient.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to get that skill right now, and he's almost willing to betray his
own name.
his master.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
And that's this is the classic hero. The hero and the younger hero.
Yeah.
But the younger guy turns into the villain.
But you're talking about
all
these
Ren stuff, right?
You're talking about all these different layers of storytelling within this, and that's what makes it so great. Owen delivers a beautiful suplex to Bret, which we was watching it together, and both of us were gasping at it. It's a lot, excellent.
There's a lot of moves that become. They are kind of just like rest holds and things like that. Rest holds and suplexes that you see all the time, and it's just kind of.
But when one's done right,
yeah. Well, no, but when it's like done by, guys today, and it's just like, okay, but these guys, they made a suplex look like a finisher.
It was it was a massive point in the match. Yeah,
could have, if a headlock was applied by Owen Hart, or Bret Hart, it looked
could
like
have finished the match.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what's so exciting about this match. It feels like it could have finished at any time. Owen gets a pile driver on Bret at one point in the match. I always struggle to watch Owen doing a pile driver.
You're not a fan, are you?
Well, it's because of the whole Austin thing, man. You know, a pile driver, I used to love a pile driver as a child. Now I'm like, oh God, it is quite dangerous. Yeah. And it is.
I see it sometimes now. I mean, I watched Lucha Underground yesterday, and I saw a package pile driver done by Pentagon Junior or Pentagon Dark, and I'd say it depends where you do it, and it depends on the wrestler.
Yeah,
I think guys that have been schooled, born into the wrestling business, guys that are raised.
Yeah, but Owen Hart was, and he still managed to.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, that's my sort of concern with it. He then goes for a diving headbutt, but Bret gets out of the way.
I love the, but again, the diving headbutt.
I
love the look of a pile driver, and I love the look of a diving headbutt.
Yes, but then we know the history of concussion.
But that's why people do it, because it's like a what? He did a diving headbutt.
And this is why they were sort of showing it off in this match. You know, some great moves.
When Daniel Bryan does it nowadays, I cringe.
Yes, I do. Oh God, when he's back,
who's the most recent person to do? Doesn't
Lars Sullivan was doing a load of them against Aleister Black.
But it's second rope. He does it from.
Still, I mean, he's a big guy to be doing a diving headbutt.
There's a guy, isn't it? Is it Eric Young that does a straight up pile driver nowadays? I think
I'm not sure, man.
Eric Young still does one,
right?
And I think Kevin Owens does a package pile driver too. So, but then I look at Kevin Owens and I look at Eric Young and I'm like, I trust both of those.
Yeah. It would,
but then look at Samoa Joe with his Tyson Kidd.
Yeah, exactly. Breaking
Samoa Joe has been schooled in wrestling for years.
And accidents happen.
Maybe, yeah.
Bret again goes to the ropes on top of the turnbuckles and does his diving headbutt, and again it has more impact. And again, this is a sort of storytelling that's all the way through the match. It's great.
Yeah, really well done.
A lot of the matches, I've talked about that. Owen tries to lock on the sharpshooter, but Bret reverses it into his sharpshooter before ending in a roll-up attempt. A really nice little sequence of events. After Bret dives over the top rope onto Owen, they start selling that Hart hits his leg onto the concrete. Owen quickly starts to take advantage of that. We see that in a lot of Hart matches where it's sort of focused on the legs.
And you don't like Bret selling, but I like Bret selling.
No, my problem with Bret selling is No, I like his selling. I don't like his win face. He doesn't look like he's ever enjoying himself in the ring. And I don't think there's enough character.
Is that Randy Orton? He's like the modern day Randy Orton. He's just like, do you even want to be there, dude? Like, do you just want to be sunning? But somewhere?
At least when Orton botches, he'll pull these great when the Singh brothers where he's like it's great, man, great.
I think Randy Orton takes himself less seriously, which you wouldn't believe. But Bret Hart, I think Bret Hart. He didn't have many weaknesses as a performer, but he took himself way too seriously.
Yes, and he took his character very seriously as well, which led to a lot of problems for Bret, I'd say, in the future.
Indeed.
The speed at which Owen was taking bumps to the mat was great, really throwing himself. And this would be a great wrestling match for any training wrestler to go watch and see how to make a bump look so believable.
Yeah, we'll see guys like Will Ospreay, World of Sport. He has a very Owen Hart-esque delivery, and he takes bumps very similarly as well.
This is great.
You can see the legacy of Owen in guys like Will Ospreay, who's obviously a quicker, but similarly, he's obviously grown up watching that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other athletes that again have that legacy. There's plenty of people we could list that are obviously ripping into Bret Hart's arsenal. Guys like Cesaro, even I think take a lot from guys like Owen Hart.
I think the thing is, the nice thing about watching these bumps is Owen knew how massive a platform this was for him, and he wasn't holding back whatsoever. And working with his brother, the two of them probably planned this for days and days and talked about it at every Thanksgiving that they got together, and building up to this moment.
It's a brilliant moment. It must be a highlight.
Great moment in wrestling, man.
It must be a highlight for Bret to kind of look back on, despite obviously the tragedy of it all, to look back and be able to say that he did have that time with his brother. And it was a great match, I think.
Yeah.
There's
a great suplex.
Great moment where they trade sharpshooters as well.
Again, there's a suplex off a top rope from Bret Hart to Owen, which very nearly ends in a pin. I mean, it would have been a great finish, but what will be the great finish? Because there's so many points that could be a great finish, and that's what makes the Savage Steamboat match at WrestleMania 3 so good.
Yes.
How is this going to end?
Oh man,
Owen low blows and gets Bret into the sharpshooter. The crowd really start getting behind Bret. Eventually, Bret ends up on Owen's shoulders, and as he goes for a victory roll, Owen sort of stands tall and manages to get the pin.
That was really well done.
I think it's a bit weird.
We've discussed this before, and I really like how that was done. It's a bit silly, but I like the way it was done.
Right. Okay,
I like the way it was done because it was kind of Owen outsmarting Bret.
Yes.
Bret picks him up from the turnbuckle, and what's he going to do? What do they call that move? The electric chair.
Yes.
Bret's never going to be the kind of guy to do some kind of like a Jeff Hardy style face plant, is he?
No.
Like an Edge type thing. So you knew it was like, what's Bret doing here? What's he going to do? What's happening? And you knew that Owen was going to do something, and I like that. I like that it was
outsmarting.
It was a very predictable.
I just think it could have been a little bit neater. That's all.
I see the chaos. I see what you mean about the chaos of it. Yeah, there was a lot of chaos there.
Yeah.
Before we talk about the fallout of this, I believe I've asked you this question a number of times off screen, and I want to get your answer on camera. A confession. No. Do you believe that Owen would have been a good, if at all, WWE World Champion? And if so, give your answers in a case for or against.
Yeah, I think he could have been. He was a great technical wrestler.
Would he have been to the level? What level could you think he would have reached?
Ooh, in terms of comparison to another superstar.
Yeah.
Probably Mankind sort of level, or sort of Mick Foley sort of level. I love Mick. I'm not having a go at Mick. We both love Mick Foley. I don't think he would have been a Bret Hart level champion because Bret was so over. But I think he would have been a sort of a secondary to whatever was going on. But a good one,
I see what you mean. Yeah, I see what you mean. So what they did with The Rock and Mankind type thing.
Yeah. As opposed to The Rock and Stone Cold, that was sort of the...
I would have maybe put him as a CM Punk, but CM
Punk was so over, man.
Nah, you're right. Maybe you're right. I'm trying to think of maybe a Dolph Ziggler.
Don't talk about Dolph Ziggler.
What about Dolph Ziggler? No, but do you think is Owen Hart better?
He would have been way better. Dolph Ziggler was a rubbish champion.
Dolph Ziggler says he's still a champion today. Thank you very much, Anthony.
Oh, thank you. Great match. Amazing build up to the match.
I will
Wonderful.
super kick your face off.
You will. An interview with Owen as he goes backstage. Celebrating his victory. Now maybe he'll get the recognition he deserves.
I love Owen when he does the spoiled thing. He did it at King of the Ring, and he did it when he won the Slammies.
Yeah, man.
The Slammies have never been more important than when Owen Hart wins. He's like yes. It's like, I love when Owen does the spoiled brat. Like some people do it terribly.
Yeah.
He's like and he's got the spit on his face still from the win, and he's like,
it's great.
Yeah.
And the great thing about this is what it sets up later on in the pay-per-view as well, so we'll talk about that as we go on. Again, if you're enjoying the podcast, guys, please hit a like, subscribe to us, comment down below, let us know what you think about that awesome match.
It was brilliant. Just another question for you then, just quickly. When would he have won it? When would Owen have won it? Would he have won it? Because you missed a big chunk of time.
I think he should have won it when he was in.
Right, you missed a bit. Yeah, you obviously would have been. We would have won it when he was in the WWE. But
but in terms of because we've talked before about had he not died, would he have?
Did you miss like the Jeff when he teamed with Jeff Jarrett and he was all he had the black and yellow stuff, the Attitude Era Owen. That was a really good time. That was a really good time.
I look forward to watching it.
Yeah. Danger Zone. I can't remember if it was called Danger Zone, but yeah.
Was it not?
I can't remember what it's called.
Right.
I can't remember. I'll think about it halfway through here.
Cool, man. Ty Sperling in the ring has given Howard Finkel a toupee to wear. A bit weird moment.
Yeah, what was that about, man?
No, it was to set up something a bit later on, wasn't it? But,
I feel like the toupees only work with, and I think he kind of rocked it. To be fair, you know what?
Did you think Howard looked?
It was weird, but it was alright.
I'm not really bothered. No. And
I feel like you would. I feel like you would.
Best wishes to Howard Finkel, man. He's not very well at the minute.
No.
So fingers crossed for him. Bam Bam Bigelow versus Luna Vachon.
Bam what now?
Bam Bam Bigelow.
Okay,
Did I say Bigelow?
You did.
It's because I was about to say Luna Vachon.
Bigelow.
Bam Bam Bigelow.
It sounds like it's a
gigolo, isn't it?
It's a name.
It's a gigolo.
I'm the gigolo, Bam Bam Bigelow.
It's the original Brutus Barber Beefcake as a gigolo. Yeah. Versus Doink and Dink. So if you haven't seen our podcast before, we like to talk a little bit about wrestlers that are debuting at the pay-per-view. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about Dink, because I think he's interesting, man. Claude Giroux had appeared, I think that's how you say his name, Giroux. Had appeared in WWF from late 1982 and would often play the little man. Why did I write that, man?
Which is convenient.
Why? Oh, man. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Definitely, it's a role that.
Why did I write that?
It's a role that suits him.
That suited him. When he was working as Tiger Jackson, he started to team with the Bushwhackers in their feud against the Beverly Brothers. In Mexico, there was a real tradition. Stop it, man. Stop it right now. In Mexico, there's a tradition of the little men who imitate a smaller version of wrestlers that they're with. So similar to how he was playing with Donk.
Donk.
Doink. Oh God, man.
Put a donk on it.
I've lost him. I hope you're enjoying my methods as much as him. So he brought this idea to Vince, and this is when he appeared as the macho midget in his feud against Doink. What are you laughing at, man? This looks really bad. Terrible. We're talking about a little man, and you're just like the macho midget. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Dear.
It's more, and that was when he was fighting against Matt Barnes Doink as well. Yeah.
It was more your original mess up that I'm still.
I know, man. Oh, it's funny.
Oh dear.
He was then presented to Doink. This is how Dink's come along as a Christmas present from Santa, as a sidekick to the new face.
You want to
Donk.
talk about inappropriate behaviour? It was Vince McMahon's like Vince McMahon. We're gonna put him in. We're gonna put him in a box. Put him in a box. We're gonna send him as a Christmas present, and we're gonna call him the Macho Midget. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, that's a little weird.
Yeah, it is a little weird.
Because it's not, we researched it, we've researched it before. It's,
Vince
McMahon is not always
PC. He's certainly not. I think that Dink is a really interesting part of Doink. So, in the sort of character evolution of Doink, because we both like Doink as a thing.
Yes.
Sometimes he hasn't worked as well on the pay-per-views and stuff, but as a character, he's so iconic.
Yeah.
And he was in the WWF for such a short time, and his gimmick was so silly. So when they there was forced to turn Doink into a babyface because he was so over with the crowd. The crowd were waiting to see what he was going to do next, and was excited for that. I think Doink could have been in the main event picture. You think of I've got a fly here.
Guest fly.
You think of like a WrestleMania that was like circus themed against and this would have been an amazing feud. A Hogan versus Doink.
You said this, but unless it was heel
Doink. Yeah, absolutely heel Doink. Hogan versus Doink. Like the Hogan promos would be great. I'm gonna get that clown, brother. That would have been a really good.
If it was, like I say, the only way I could picture it was healed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Doink.
So after it sort of turned babyface, they're giving this Dink character as sort of more of a gimmick. The problem is when WWF weren't doing great in sort of '95 time, couldn't necessarily afford to send two people out everywhere for just one character. So Doink sort of gets left by the wayside, and because his character turned into his babyface, he was sort of lost anyway. But I think that's really interesting how that sort of worked. So they brought him in, and it became kind of funny for a little bit, and then it ended up costing the Doink character later on.
Like I said, there was nothing much. I think that again, there's other opportunities for certain people in the WWE, but I think Dink was kind of. I mean, he was tied to that role. Quite heavily.
He played the little man really well. Is that what I said?
But I think genuinely moving forward from that, Dink was I think he had a couple of other roles on the Indies before he retired. Yeah. But you're never going to reach the heights of
the WWF. No.
WWE. No.
So into the match, Doink comes out and sprays Cy Sperling with his flower. Crowd cheer.
Yeah, was he expecting that?
Probably, yeah. I don't think this was a Jerry Lawler, Bruce Hart situation.
No.
Doink and Bam Bam start off in the ring. Doink gets the tag, and we have mixed match rules here. So when Doink gets tagged, when Dink gets tagged, Luna Vachon has to come in.
Yeah.
Dink runs around the ring as Luna stops him, catching any of his moves, throwing him around, that sort of thing. When she climbs to the top rope, she misses a splash, leaving Dink to get the tag again. Doink gets clothesline out of the ring on Bam Bam. Dink comes in to taunt Bam Bam, who can't catch him. Bit of comedy.
There is a place for it at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, this might have been a better opening match, actually.
Yeah.
After a diving headbutt, Bam Bam gets the pin on Doink, and after the there's a
square
squash, up against
a literal
Bam
squash.
Bam. Yeah, so it's actually quite funny. So they both go for a splash.
It was quite an awkward moment. You know.
Bam Bam and Luna Vachon go for a splash on Dink and Doink, who are both lying prone. Doink gets out of the way. Dink, as he's sort of rolling, Luna Vachon still just catches him and flats him over his back, and he gets up like he's won, but actually, so a bit weird.
It was a weird moment.
I mean, this is a moment. It's not a terrible.
Yeah, it's of its time. You know, I never agreed with Luna Vachon being called the main squeeze, for example.
No.
And I loved Luna as a performer.
Yes.
Obviously, her legacy. Definitely carries on the names of guys like Bam Bam Bigelow. Obviously, she came back and helped Goldust, Gangrel, of course. All great performers.
Well, she was married to Gangrel.
Yeah, she's always been associated with great performers like that.
I think the thing is, she. So I think this WrestleMania, in terms of like this match, I don't think it was great, but you're watching this match after an incredible match, and I think. Parts of this pay-per-view are probably worse off because of the amazing matches that we get, and that very much goes into the next match as well. Before that, we get a Bill Clinton lookalike sat with Jack Tunney and IRS.
That's the weirdest thing in this whole thing. I fell for it at first.
Oh, I know you did, yeah.
Very first, I fell for it.
It was like, no, that is Bill Clinton. I was like, no, man, it's not Bill Clinton at all.
And then they give him this weird little box, and like IRS is there, and he's like, they're talking about taxes. It's like
it was probably set up for the 10-man tag match, which ended up getting cut
of course it was cut.
Later on. But we'll go into that a little bit later on. There's a Falls Count Anywhere match next with Randy Savage versus Crush with Mr. Fuji.
You are not the biggest fan of Crush. I thought there was a lot more potential in him than ever happened to him. I think that he had some really good moments, more as a heel than a face.
Yeah, 100%.
And this was his finest moment. Or one of his this feud.
I mean, he's with Savage, man. I mean, Savage is great. And this isn't one of Savage's best WrestleMania
Savage
matches.
he was finishing up now, wasn't he?
He was back and forth, because they had. I think the idea was initially to say no to Savage. You're on commentary. They lost Hogan, they lost Warrior, they lost all these people, and there was like, look, Savage, you'll turn up on the big events now, you know. This match is okay.
It's a shame because Savage, of course, ended up going way beyond this as a performer.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And even had an appearance on TNA in more recent years.
It was only one appearance.
It was one appearance.
It was the last show he did. I think before he passed away. He was tagging with Jeff Hardy and AJ Styles against Jeff Jarrett, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash. Yeah, man. Unfortunately, they sort of built it up, and then Savage, I think, was nervous about performing, so he sort of comes out at the end for 2 minutes, and it's not. Anyway, that's going into something completely different, but it's worth the watch, you know.
Yeah, just to see the nostalgia from the nostalgia
and see the last Savage match.
But when you look at that versus this time, you know, and Savage is thinking about, you know, in his head, he's thinking he's, you know, winding down sort of thing.
Yes, and I think it was sort of forced upon him.
And you look at that. And how long he ended up carrying on WCW and all that.
The great stuff in WCW. There is some good stuff.
Nah, I was never a great fan of him in WCW. No. A lot of these people, a lot of these talents.
You think it was too mad?
Did not repeat the same success. Arguably, I'm trying to think. Scott Steiner is an exception to the rule. He became something much more.
But I love Scott Steiner in the WWF at this time. Amazing.
Well, he became Big Papa Pump.
Yeah.
You know, I think he's one of the major examples of people. I mean, obviously you can look at, you know, guys like Johnny Polo, who became Raven in ECW, but then they came back to not that much success
in
the WWE. Whereas Scott Steiner leaves this point where he'd been a tag team performer, goes on to better things, and then
comes back
and wins. He wins. I think he had a WWE title run very briefly.
Right. So back to Savage and Crush. No, it's fine, man. Savage goes to attack.
Me.
It's all right.
I've got some serious hay fever going on. I'm getting
it's all the
snotted
sun,
all
man.
over the
it's camera. All the sun.
I know. Yeah, I've got the. You know, just get the tank top out, man. Should
I'm branding, man.
It's good, man. It's good.
It's only because you've lost all your t-shirts. I've given them away.
So people want them. People want them.
Good, and if you want one, you can get one on Redbubble.
Yeah, not from off my back. You don't have to have my sweat on them. You can get one on Redbubble or Patreon.
Or send us a message and we'll
just
send
like
you one.
This. We'll send you one.
Savage goes to attack Crush before he gets into the ring. Crush gets the first fall. So this match, man.
Mugs
you can get mugs as well.
There you go. Sorry.
Crush gets the first fall, right? I didn't get what was going on here at all.
These things are confusing.
A falls count anywhere. And it's never explained. And there's just this weird countdown to 10 that just seems like something for the audience to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's never explained, is it? It's really weird. If you can explain it to me, let me know.
It's almost like they lifted, Extreme Rules this year, you know, and the not Extreme, the Dolph Ziggler, Seth Rollins crowd, you know, where they're just counting all of a sudden randomly.
Yeah.
You know, for no apparent
awful.
reason whatsoever. It was Extreme Rules, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Crush gets the first fall. Again, I didn't get it. After being press slammed into the barricade, Macho Man has 60 seconds to get back into the ring. 60 seconds.
He makes a real. He flops about, doesn't he?
Yeah, but like all he's done has been slammed onto the barricade. Yeah. Like, it doesn't feel deserved. It doesn't feel earned. It's like setting up the rules to the match, but then we still don't know what the rules to the match are. Yeah. It makes no sense. Yep. Fuji hits him with a flag to drag out the 60 seconds.
Yeah, because for some reason they put Fuji with Crush to legitimize him.
I mean, it didn't work for me at all. Crush gets some salt. However, Macho knocks it out of his hands into his own face. That was a nice little spot, probably one of the better spots in the match, actually. Savage gets his elbow drop, but doesn't go for the pin. Yeah. What was that all about? Is that because they had to get the win outside the ring? Maybe.
Very strange.
But I mean, a Macho elbow drop, man. I mean, I know after WrestleMania 7 it was sort of a bit destroyed after the Ultimate Warrior 3-time thing, but I mean, it's a Macho elbow drop, man.
Best in the business.
Yeah, Crush. Velveteen Dreams is very good as well.
Velveteen Dreams is good.
Crush ends up out of the ring, and Savage gets the second fall on Crush, whatever that means.
I do believe that Velveteen Dream has probably watched
so
millions
many Savage matches
and millions of Savage elbow. Probably like but probably I could just imagine Velveteen growing up just rewinding, like having the DVDs repeating.
Oh man.
So 5 seconds elbow drop, rewind 5 seconds. He's there he's there perfect. The image, everything.
Oh no, he's great. He's amazing. Sort of took it to another level, actually. Incredible. So Crush is being counted out the ring. The crowd start counting down from 60, which is way too long. Fuji throws water in his face to wake him up. Great. Then the two take it through the crowd and take it backstage, where Randy gets the next fall again. So I think he pins him outside the ring.
Yep.
Crush has 60 seconds to get back into the ring. At this point, he sort of hoists Crush up by his feet on a makeshift structure that's sort of backstage. I think there were two kids like peering through a black curtain to sort of watch it.
It was
probably
weird.
One of the staff members' kids.
Yeah.
The idea is to sort of stop Crush from getting into the ring.
He ties him up, hangs him up, which is great until the knot
slips.
Until the poor guy comes down.
And so instead of sort of having this, because the image would have been great if he was sort of suspending and trying to thrash out to try and that would have been a great image.
He comes down and obviously you feel for his poor head,
and he's just sort of,
and then of course he just sort of lies there like.
Well, this is what's supposed to happen. Yeah. I mean, it's not a great Savage WrestleMania match, is it? But it's
entertaining in a WrestleMania way, where you can only get away with it at WrestleMania.
Then we have an interview with fake Bill Clinton. It's no shock Clinton is having issues right now, but him and IRS have come to an agreement.
I look at this and I'm like, as if I was the dude that was like, oh yeah, he's actually.
Well, he was a kid, man. I mean, he was a young kid.
No, dude, I did that.
You believe it to this day?
I did that when I researched it.
Oh, bless you.
I'm serious. I was like, as if Bill Clinton said, that's mental.
Well, Donald Trump was a couple of the.
It's true. I thought if Donald Trump could do it. Then
yeah. WrestleMania 4, 5, maybe. Yeah. Then we get video footage of FanFest, so sort of the first early WrestleMania access.
The budget WrestleMania access.
It really was, man. You know, you could buy a figure or get a photo in a casket with Paul Bearer. I'd love to get a photo in a casket with Paul Bearer. That's
awesome. Not
awesome.
now.
It'd be
weird.
Rough, man.
Weird now.
It'd be a rough photo.
You would struggle.
Next up we have Alundra Blaze coming up versus Leilani Kai. We've not seen a women's match in such a long time, and it's so good to see women back on it.
It's good to see Alundra Blaze, man.
Alundra's great.
Leilani Kai, I mean, bless her for the legacy she's left, but she didn't look great here.
Well, obviously Leilani Kai was in the first WrestleMania against Wendy Richter, not looking in the same sort of shape she was then, but that was 10 years ago. This is the first time Alundra Blaze has come onto the pay-per-views.
To be fair, man, and there's no disrespect here to Leilani Kai, but dude, we look pretty good 10 years on from what we looked like 10 years ago. I mean, I do.
Rubbish. Go on. Tell us about Alundra Blaze.
Alundra Blaze. Oh yeah, man. Yeah, like she's obviously got this amazing career as like a monster truck driver now.
Yeah, man.
An incredible athlete.
Back as Medusa.
Had great runs as Medusa in WCW, where she's infamously binned the title there, which is kind of. That was kind of like one of her kind of trademark moments where,
unfortunately,
and obviously that led to a sour relationship for a period of time with old Vinnie Mac.
Understandably.
But I think they ended up burying the hatchet on more recent Hall of Fame.
Yeah, when she was inducted into the Hall of Fame, that was the first time she'd seen Vince.
Very much, she'd won a bunch of different different championships, but most notably, of course, in WWE and WCW. She is credited by many people as one of, if not the, first, kind of woman to glamorize sports entertainment, to take it into the mainstream in such a way, where obviously you had like the Fabulous Moolah and all that kind of stuff as well.
Yes.
But Alundra Blaze was the one you could put on movie red carpets and things. Things of that nature, which was a great. It was a great time for her as a performer,
and a great time for women's wrestling.
And arguably,
to bring that back, to bring the belt back.
I'm more surprised. I'm surprised more, and this isn't a slate on, of course, WWE programming. I mean, we do that from time to time, but I'm surprised she's not brought up more often.
She comes back occasionally nowadays for the kickoff shows and stuff like that. But,
Royal
Rumble, I think she was there.
Oh, nice.
It's a shame she didn't appear in the Royal Rumble, but she's getting on a bit now.
Yeah.
I mean, I know she's doing a
we did talk about that. Yeah. I think arguably she's probably become more successful since leaving. I think the business she's got now with the trucks and everything.
It's just a different type of success. I mean, she had great success in Japan before joining WWF, and she was. I mean, I went back and watched one of her matches with one of the Was it the Blazing Bomb Angels? What was their name? The Bomb Angels.
Oh, we talked about this,
the Suicide Bomb Angels or whatever it was. The Japanese girls that were amazing, man. In one of the earlier Survivor Series, Jumping Bomb Angels. That's it. Sorry, they were amazing in that Survivor Series. And if you go back, there is a match of them two going at it. One of them and Medusa in New Japan, and it's great, man. And you can see why WWF picked it up and formed a division around Alundra Blaze.
Yeah.
One of the biggest problems that Alundra Blaze always had was that she never really had enough good competition.
Yeah, and in WCW, having watched some matches of, she was very frustrated with Bischoff and the way that they would book her in, and she would have probably hated WWE at that time. She was booked in bra and panties matches and those types of things. No. Where she's like in an all-American bikini and things of that nature. And of course, she
was a talent, man.
That time you had Jerry Lawler. excuse me, calling for puppies and all this kind of thing. And India.
But she was a talent.
And it was worse in WCW.
She was a talent, man.
Like you look, and like I genuinely don't think I would have enjoyed interactions with. Jerry Lawler in WWE, but like guys like Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff, I mean, on a business level,
it did well.
On a business level,
what it needed to do.
You can imagine that Vince is probably there going, okay, so I'm going to win on the money ratings, and I'm also going to get to see some very attractive women and all that stuff, and kiss a few, and abuse my power to an incredibly over the top.
Get away with that these days, would you? So Alundra Blaze comes out to fireworks. So they are building her up as a big woman. It's a good match. Leilani Kai had the strength to throw Alundra Blaze around, and Alundra Blaze was able to sell that. And she was able to keep able to really throw herself into the hair pulls and stuff like that, which was really great. When Alundra Blaze gets a German suplex, it looks really impressive. As again, I've sort of said, Leilani Kai has put on a bit of weight since WrestleMania 1. Mm-hmm. So to have this tiny girl doing a German suplex, you could see that she was a talent. You could see that she'd been training. Yeah. And Alundra was great and refreshing, man. I enjoyed seeing the match, even though it was really short. And I think that's a lot of the problem with Alundra Blaze's matches at this time. They are very short. They don't give them enough time. It's not really
there's no division. Priority at this point, and that's a real shame, because you would have seen a similar level of competition, I am sure, then if you'd have found the right talent to what you would see now.
Yeah, 100%. She could have done some incredible things, but unfortunately that other person to work with just, I don't think, ever really come through.
Materialised for her,
Then we have an interview with Rhonda Shears, host of Up All Night, in a pink latex dress.
Yeah, and blooming Burt Reynolds is there.
Yeah, man, blooming Burt Reynolds.
It's a bit weird, man, this whole segment. And she's
I quite like it. Shawn Micheals comes in and
Shawn,
she's all over Shawn, and then Burt Reynolds comes in and steals Shawn's thunder, and suddenly she's all over Burt. I think it's quite funny. I think it works. Burt Reynolds is a massive star.
Yeah,
to have at WrestleMania, it's okay. And then we've got Men on a Mission versus the Quebecers. Mabel is massive, man. He's absolutely massive.
What an incredible talent.
I have a problem with Men on a Mission, and I've realised what it is.
We've talked about this before, but before you do that, and I genuinely feel like Mabel, who obviously had his last tenure before passing away as Big Daddy V in ECW, I always thought he would have been an incredible champion, but he was given these, the Mark Henry sexual chocolate style gimmicks. Excuse me. Later, that's about as much as I disapprove of the way Viscera was treated. As much as a horrible cough. I feel like that might have been a horrible cough in Viscera's history, because even the Ministry of Darkness, Viscera. What?
That was well saved. You just coughed and then turned it into what you was talking about.
I'm still going, man. I'm still feeling the negativity. But
keep going, friends.
Viscera,
keep going.
Viscera, the Ministry of Darkness, Viscera was devastating, looked scary, frightening. This Mabel looked scary and frightening when he did heel stuff, when they did a heel thing. Mo, he was a bit like the sidekick. He's the Robin to Mabel's Batman.
My problem is, right, so they bring Mabel in with Mo, and Mo is my real problem. And it's not that he's not talented, because I think he is talented. I just think putting sort of a smaller version of Mabel in doesn't work.
Yeah.
I think if they'd put this big Mabel character with a smaller guy, that dynamic as a tag team would have worked so much better. They did something like that
and it's been proven numerous times with big and with guys like Kane and RVD, but more particularly, very entertaining tag team, Danny Doring and Roadkill in ECW, the Amish. I can't remember his official title, but Roadkill as a performer in ECW was of a similar, I don't think quite as big, similar stature as Mabel. And I mean, Danny Doring was a Daniel Bryan,
small guy. Yeah, I just think that's my problem, and I've realised that when watching this pay-per-view, so I wanted to mention it briefly. The crowd love Oscar's entrance as he comes out rapping, who is, who said is. It's cool. The crowd love it. It's good fun at WrestleMania to sing along. We all sing along to most of the songs these days, when we go watch wrestling events. There was a nice standing flip from Mo. I'm not knocking Mo as a talent. I just don't think he should have been with Mabel at this time. Who knocks Pierre down. A really, really nice move. It's sort of a standing flip as he's running back from the ropes, and it hits him. It looks really great, man.
It's nice. Kevin Owens does a similar kind of...
He does. It's
like a cannonball type thing.
Yeah.
Just because that's why I was looking at the picture. Roadkill went by. His nickname was the Amish Roadkill, and he had the kind of the big beard and the hat and stuff. And he was a great talent. Great talent. Very similar to Mabel, but obviously never quite. Because he never had a run in WWE. It never reached the success that Mabel did.
The Quebecers do their move where one stands on a turnbuckle whilst the other tosses him off the turnbuckle onto a pro Mabel. I mean, that looked really great, didn't it, by the Quebecers? I really enjoyed it.
Good.
What are you smiling?
Your terminology, but we'll move.
All right, let's keep going. Let's get through. Mabel's moves, man, they look so devastating, and that's one of the things that makes Mabel so great.
Yeah.
Obviously, he had sort of issues with his sort of major injury that he caused someone later on is obviously the Undertaker when he didn't he break his eye socket?
Kind of halted his push for a while, didn't it?
It did, yeah. Oscar and Johnny Polo get involved on the apron, ending up with all of them outside, and we get a count-out victory for Men on a Mission. So we can all sing along. Hoops, there it is. Hoops, there it is.
Is that your best?
That's all I'm going to do. I think the match went on really long, and I was listening to Bruce Pritchard talk about it on one of his podcasts. And he was talking about how this match wasn't given this amount of time, and because of it was like this is part of the reason why the 10-man tag match probably disappeared, because they knew that they had this match between Shawn Micheals and Razor Ramon coming up soon, and that was going to need time to tell the story and to get it over. And Bruce was really annoyed with what's his name? One of the Quebecers,
is it Jacques?
No, the other one.
Hang on.
He was really annoyed with him backstage because he kept coming up to him saying that he didn't go over, and he said it did go over. And I think I think it probably could have been cut out, but it was an entertaining match, especially with Mabel sort of doing his thing.
Pierre,
thank you. Donnie Wahlberg and Rhonda Shear come out as guest announcer and bell ringer for the next match. Did you enjoy Rhonda Shear's bell ringing skills, Dom? In a pink latex dress?
I could have done better in a pink latex dress, but for all intents and purposes, she was fine.
I disagree. Donnie Wahlberg announces special guest referee, and it's Mr. Perfect.
It looks ridiculous.
What, Mr. Perfect did? Mm-hmm. Why?
In the suit.
I didn't mind it. But it was like all in one, wasn't it? Yeah, it was a bit weird.
It was like not like a jumpsuit. Is it a jumpsuit?
I don't think it might have been.
Or like a pantsuit.
Yeah, it was like a full. So instead of it just being a referee jacket, it went right down to his legs, and it was a bit weird. It was a little weird.
It's the kind of thing you would wear to Spiders on a Saturday.
Yeah, probably.
About 10 years ago.
Probably, and I'd still pull it off now, baby. Better than Mr. Perfect did. Yokozuna with Mr. Fuji and Cornette versus Lex Luger. So because we've had two winners in the Royal Rumble, we are getting 2 matches for the championship tonight, and the first of them 2 matches after a toss of a coin is going to be Yokozuna versus Lex Luger. Yokozuna Yokozuna looks tired tonight. I think he wasn't really pushing out of the pins. One of his earlier counts could very well have been a pinfall because it didn't even look like he sort of moved out of it. Lex goes for a slam, but Yokozuna falls on him. I don't understand why that was such a big deal, because obviously Lex has slammed Yokozuna on the Intrepid.
Yeah, just for the storyline, WrestleMania.
Doesn't need to be there though,
Yeah.
Yokozuna takes off the turnbuckle padding whilst Cornette distracts Perfect. We see a sign in the crowd: Lex Loser. Good sign. Like a good pun. Did you like Lex Loser?
I did, because I'm not a huge fan of Lex Luger.
I think people, but my point to this is, I think that people were all, because they were still pushing him as this big babyface. Yeah. I think people were getting tired of it already. He
was a lesser talented. This is going to be controversial. Maybe he was a lesser talented version of what they're trying to do with Roman Reigns now. Roman Reigns at least.
Yeah, I can sort of agree.
He at least has a more like Roman Reigns has more personality.
He's a talented. No, he has no personality, but he's a talented wrestler.
But Lex Luger versus Roman Reigns' personality.
Oh right, okay, yeah, but that's like comparing cardboard.
Okay, all right then. All right, Lex Luger or Roman Reigns.
Lex Luger or Roman Reigns
in a match.
Oh God, I really don't care.
Pick it. I'm asking you the question.
Roman Reigns as a heel.
Win. I'm talking about wins. Who wins between two of them?
Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is a better technical wrestler than Lex Luger. He is, man. I don't.
Technical wrestler?
No, in terms of
technical wrestler. He's got like 5 moves. 5 moves of doom. I can't even count 5 moves. He's got 2.
No, he doesn't. He does have more than that. I know. But he can do more than that. He's just never put in matches where he has an opportunity to do it.
Literally, he's an elbow. He's a head with an elbow.
I hate. Yes.
And a 6-pack.
Yes, but that's at least Roman has 5 moves. Luger has an elbow.
I don't even think Roman has 5.
Yeah, he does.
It's literally the.
No, this is just because you're watching all the Brock Lesnar matches and you're not. That match against Bobby Lashley, the matches he had against AJ Styles were actually quite good. Roman's character is awful. I hate Roman Reigns.
Yeah, but put Lex Luger in a match with AJ Styles and Lex Luger will leave looking good.
No, he wouldn't. I don't think he would. No, I don't think he would.
AJ Styles can make anyone look good.
Not necessarily. No, I disagree with that as well. He needs to be in the ring with someone good. I agree that he's good, but look at his matches with Jinder Mahal. I don't think they were good.
They were better than Jinder Mahal could have done in any other context.
Agreed with you, but they weren't great matches.
But they were the best matches Jinder Mahal's had since he came back as a main roster.
But they weren't great matches. Is what I'm saying. Like you can't. I'm not. I'm just not accepting that AJ can just make anyone look good. He has to have someone good with him as well. Yeah.
But there's nobody like who apart from Dolph Ziggler. Apart from Dolph Ziggler, he does undeniably put on incredible matches with anyone who brings out the best in people other than AJ Styles on SmackDown or Raw before we move on.
Seth Rollins.
Okay, I'll take that.
Cool. Thanks. Yokozuna holds Lex Luger down for an age with a really weak, what they're calling a pressure hold on his shoulder. It's just a fist on his
he's like
on his really angry, big Japanese guy.
But not Japanese, of course.
No, Samoan.
Totally Samoan.
Totes Samoan.
Totes Samoan.
Luger selling as Undertaker as Yokozuna's punching him is absolutely laughable. It is awful, and that's why Roman Reigns is even slightly better than Lex Luger at this point. Again, we go into another pressure point move. Like, why? I don't understand. The match is for the goddamn heavyweight title, right? And it should be more exciting than this, and it's awful.
This is like if you put Jinder Mahal and the Great Khali
in a match together, and go, main event, they're both Indian. This will be a great match.
World title. Let's put the world title on the line.
Oh man.
And then that would be it's a similar level. It would generate a similar level of excitement.
It would, yeah.
And it would generate a similar level of, I don't know, interest.
It would. Luger uses the exposed turnbuckle and Yokozuna goes back. Lex gets the slam on Yokozuna before using a forearm to knock out Yokozuna. That's where the managers come in, Cornette and Fuji, and Luger attacks them before going to pin Yokozuna. But perfect doesn't count. This is the only sort of slightly interesting part of the match, really. Instead, sort of checking on the managers, and Lex gets disqualified for attacking the managers. That's a weird rule.
Yes,
normally it's the managers attack the other person, but yeah. So a bit of a weird finish, especially for a title match. But I suppose we're moving into what could be a perfect story. But I don't think that ever.
Yeah, it was a weird time. You know, Lex Luger goes to the back and he's freaking out. And
there's an
Perfect's
interview.
like overly confident, you know, and
he said he shouldn't have put his hands on his officials.
And it's funny. It's funny in a classic heel versus face thing.
Yeah,
context.
and the crowd at this point start chanting. Bull rubbish is what they start shouting. Yes.
True,
Luger.
Rubbish. I think you covered me efficiently there. That was okay.
Who knows, man? I think I'm going to have to cut that out. Luger interrupts, getting in Perfect's face at this point, so the two have a square up, obviously building up a feud with these two. Would it have made more sense here to have Luger win, Dom?
I
think it would have. I think Luger versus Bret, although it was two faces,
would have been good it would have been good for like, it would have been like a Cena Reigns type situation now, where you'd have half the crowd who
chanting for Luger.
No accountability for taste, of course, but half the crowd chanting for Luger, half the
I think everyone would be chanting for Bret actually, but. All 90% would be chanting for Bret at this point. But I think that could have been slightly more interesting. I think Yokozuna, to have him in 2 matches, he was a big guy.
Yeah.
And he was tired by the time he got out into the ring here.
Yeah, all credit to him. He did all right.
Yeah, he did okay. Rumour was that Lex was supposed to beat Yokozuna, but it leaked in the wrestling press. So apparently Vince changed his decision and change the direction.
There you go.
So we could have had Lex versus Bret, which would have made sense as well, I think. Harvey Whippleman comes out to offend Howard Finkel. He rips Finkel's suit as Finkel pushes him over. Adam Bomb comes out to help Whippleman and confront Finkel.
I loved Adam Bomb's okay, but yeah, this is probably his finest moment. WrestleMania.
I think Survivor Series was his finest moment, where they put him like over more than Diesel.
Oh yeah.
I mean that's big. Earthquake comes in to defend him. A very quick splash, an Earthquake teabag.
Crowd pleaser.
Crowd pleaser. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, don't forget, Earthquake was supposed to have been fighting Ludwig Borger, but unfortunately he was injured, so that never happened, and Borger just sort of disappeared after that anyway. I don't understand why they buried Adam Bomb so quickly after spending so much time through Survivor Series. Then we have an interview with Cornette and Yokozuna, who says Perfect's officiating was great, and they're now ready to go on and face Bret, who has already lost 1 match tonight, and that's important. Cornette, man, great promo. Yokozuna is going to chew him up and spit him out. Then we move on to a little match. A quick match called a ladder match between Shawn Micheals, accompanied by Diesel, versus Razor Ramona.
Why do you do that every time?
I don't know, man. I just like it. Lights go out to reveal the belts hanging above the ring. A ladder match in the WWE. Yeah. This is the first time we've seen a ladder match in the pay-per-view. Let's talk about the history of the ladder match. The ladder matches have happened in wrestling before, never in the WWF. Bret Hart had talked about doing it. I think Bret was in the first ladder match, possibly against Shawn Micheals, if I remember rightly. It was Bret's idea for the ladder match anyway to come in. And yeah, with the 2 championships on the line, it made perfect sense storyline-wise. It was nice,
here. And the 2 guys were perfect for this match.
Razor Ramon looked in amazing shape at this. I've talked about Scott Hall's sort of shape before. It sort of seems to fluctuate quite a lot, actually, at this time. The 2 start off in the ring with some tight little routines, some nice little wrestling moments. Yep. After Razor gets tossed out of the ring, Diesel clothesline Razor, and he's sent out by the referee. Great, let's get rid of Diesel straight away because he's not important to this match.
So yeah, definitely,
it does, and we're all about these 2 wrestlers and seeing this exciting match for the first time
some
with a ladder.
Spots, incredible spots.
Man. We'll go into them.
Oh yeah, of course.
After Razor gets taught, Michael's selling amazing as always.
Yeah, I get so excited about this.
Flailing, landing
using
everywhere.
The ladder as well, using the ladder to great effect too.
So
both of them are not afraid to use the ladder.
A clothesline from Razor looks awesome as it stops Michaels in his tracks. Instead of sort of going over, it just sort of stops him standing still before he sort of. Great stuff, man. Perfect. Now, the first time the ladder's used is as Razor is pushing it into the ring. Michaels baseball slides the ladder into Razor. Now, let's talk about the history here. We've never seen a ladder match. Now, the idea of a ladder match, we get told it's so that you can get the title, and all of a sudden we see the ladder being used as a weapon in what is quite an exciting way. The baseball slide straight into the ladder.
Amazing.
Great, and it continues throughout the match. This is so good. The crowd as well, just back into that moment, pop so loud as soon as that happens. It was exciting, man.
Yeah, definitely meant something to a crowd at this time that had never seen this. And just there's some of the spots where like Michaels traps Razor in the ladder and stuff, and they get out, and it's like a huge thing, and just the dynamic between the two of them.
Well, it's the way that he uses a ladder. So Michaels gets out and he's hitting Razor with a ladder, but he's hitting it with this end, and then he's hitting it with a side, and he even throws the ladder at Razor. And each of these spots are brand new. Never seen.
And when like Michaels gets his foot traps and all that stuff.
Oh man,
really
that's later
well
on. Yeah, but that's great. Michaels climbs the ladder as Razor pulls down his pants to reveal his buttocks. That's good fun. Michaels showing off
swinging.
Yeah, man. I mean, it makes sense, Michaels does a splash off the top of the ladder,
which is still iconic. Yeah,
even now, iconic.
Even it's funny, isn't it? Even when you see Jeff Hardy do his things and all that stuff. At this time,
it wouldn't have happened
at this
without
time,
this,
that
man,
was insane.
And this is amazing, and I'm sure Jeff Hardy took a lot from Michaels. You can see it. Razor pushes the ladder over with Michaels on top of it, getting hung up on the rope. Again, the crowd is so invested in this because they've never seen this sort of thing before. It's great.
Yeah.
Razor slingshots Michaels into a ladder on the outside. It sets up against the apron, and he sort of holds onto the ladder, falls back onto it. I mean, the spots are so good in this match. Razor nearly gets a title, but Michaels gets to him just in time. The crowd are so invested at this point. Both men climb the ladder. Michaels gets suplexed off the top of the ladder. This is an introduction to a new match type that wasn't beaten for years. Some may argue if never it was never beaten or not. We can talk about that. We'll talk about that at the end of the match. So Michael gets suplexed off the top. The ladders sort of buckle at this point, and Razor falls off. It's great. This is only one ladder as well that they're using, which I think is really quite interesting as well. Michaels calls for the Razor's Edge, but instead pile drivers Razor. Michael gets...
It's like a nice little crowd fake, actually.
Oh, yeah, man.
Good,
it's like, clever, it's proper heel stuff,
technique,
man.
Yeah.
Michael gets the ladder, climbs the turnbuckle, and holds onto the ladder.
And drives it,
falls, driving it into a prone Razor. Razor knocks over Shawn from the top of the ladder, sending Shawn onto the ropes between his legs. And then, beautifully, Michaels gets his leg caught in the rope.
How did that...
I mean, he knows what he's doing. Yeah. It looks amazing. So Razor's got open access to the ladder, and this is so good as well, where he actually, if you watch, and it's not something I'd ever noticed before, but it's not his leg at the end of the match that's stuck. He manages to turn it into his hand, which is great, man. So then he climbs the ladder and gets the titles, and we have the iconic image of Razor with both titles. Wow. I mean, Ric Flair talks about this match, and he says it's amazing to see Shawn Michaels and a ladder have such a good match together. And I don't think that's necessarily a knock on Razor as a performer, but it very well may have been by Ric Flair.
Yeah.
But it's so amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, this wasn't topped for years.
No.
What's your favourite ladder match?
I mean, I love the interaction. I mean, it was a TLC thing, but obviously used the ladder century. It was the Dudley Boys and Edge and Christian.
In terms of straight ladder match, there's a really good one with Undertaker and Jeff Hardy.
I've talked about that before.
Yeah, I think that was in the last time we did this one. So,
brilliant,
so the Undertaker and Jeff Hardy had a really good match. But
actually, there's a really Undertaker. I think it's one of the only times. I don't think it's a breaking kayfabe, but he definitely, Undertaker. He was a strong heel. Strong heel at this point, and he shakes Jeff Hardy's hand. Actually, I was going to bring this up. There's a very brief interaction that Jeff Hardy has with Shawn Michaels on a Raw during this period of time, and Jeff Hardy is it's after this time with Undertaker, and Jeff Hardy's almost a little bit confident. He's overconfident, and he says to Shawn Michaels, I'm going to surpass you, and I could do what I could.
Actually, the Hardys were both like in one of the King of the Rings that's coming up, and we'll mention this. If you keep watching, subscribe to the podcast. We've got more of us talking wrestling. There's a King of the Ring where the Hardy Boys were actually the two knights on the entrance ramp and stuff. So there was working in the WWE at this time in different capacities. But back to this match, it is phenomenal. It's phenomenal storytelling. It's exciting. I don't know if a ladder match has ever... My problem with TLC matches and a lot of ladder matches is it becomes really spot heavy, and this felt so natural.
Yeah,
the way the ladder was being used. I mean, isn't it interesting that like you know, one of the best Elimination Chambers was the first one. One of the best, like the
Shawn
first Hell in a Cell with Micheals and Undertaker is one of the best, you know. And then, I mean, we have the Mankind thing, which is a different sort of greatness. Yeah. But you know, like it's amazing how the first match. It's not just a nostalgia thing. I don't think. I think it's the way that they come up with the matches, and it is incredible by both guys.
Incredible, absolutely.
Great match,
absolutely.
Amazing. Michaels didn't perform a match for 4 months after WrestleMania, which is quite amazing because he would have, you know, been a wonderful heel to carry on at this point. We see a shot of some of the 10-men tag team arguing as the match gets cancelled. This included Jeff Jarrett, IRS, the Head Shrinkers, a quick interview with DiBiase and Bill Clinton lookalike. You can see at this point they're trying to pull back time. It's not interesting at all. It was just
there was definitely. You could see it in their eyes. There was like definitely a little bit of confusion, a little bit of panic.
Speed it.
IRS was panicking. You could see that.
Yeah.
You know, they were trying to quicken it up.
Next match, Bret Hart versus Yokozuna. Final match of the night. Thank you very much for sticking with us. Please
appreciate it.
Watch more of us, subscribe to us, and let us know what you think. Video package of Bret Hart. This is weird, man. This is a bit of a weird video package. So there's no voiceover. It's just him doing moves to a really corny rock guitar. It shows off a lot of his moves.
Was that?
That was my rock guitar. That was my 80s and early 90s rock guitar. Yeah.
Okay, carry on.
That's my history of rock knowledge.
There you go, your history of rock in a few seconds of air time.
There's a lot of images of him with Stu Hart and that sort of thing. We get a similar thing for Yokozuna, much shorter, showing off his power moveset. I think they should have cut this out and let the match breathe a little bit more. Especially because we're running short on time, and I don't think this added anything really.
Yeah.
Special guest timekeeper for the match, and ring announcer Burt Reynolds. Special guest referee.
I mean, like
Roddy Piper.
I feel like this was, you know, this was by design to make it, you know, to make it such a brilliant ending.
Yes.
As well. This was by design. Yeah. Everything here was Vince McMahon to a T. Roddy Piper being out there.
Oh, great.
All that stuff, yeah.
Great. And having the perfect heel turn later on with a special guest referee. We're bringing back an old wrestler that we've not seen for a while that's so over. Roddy Piper was always so over. Obviously a film star by this point as well. Yoko gets a full entrance here with lights and geishas and that sort of thing. Geishas, sorry. And the two get straight at it. You can tell at the same time. And actually that makes the match a little bit better, I think.
Gives it a little bit more immediacy. Which
Yokozuna's suffered with at times, I think. You can...
There's the impact of Bret's... Well, obviously they're not like straight hits, but like, you know, the impact of everything... You know, it
felt big.
It makes Bret look like a viable challenger. He's much smaller. Much, you know, he looks like he can do it. And
he's already selling the leg at this point.
The fans want him to do it, like a Daniel Bryan.
Yeah. And he's selling the leg, so he's the underdog, the real underdog in this situation as well. You can see that Yokozuna's tired as he starts crawling around the ring, and Bret Hart takes advantage of it at this point. Cornette pulls out Piper when he's going for a 3 count on Yokozuna, to which he receives a fist from Piper, sending him flying backwards. Cornette man wasn't afraid to take a bump. We love it. And the crowd wanted to see him get punched, and that's what they get. Cornette is sort of the new Heenan. I'm not necessarily saying he was as good as Heenan. That's not bad. That's not a bad shout.
Well,
we've seen the great bumps that Heenan was taking
that
from
tennis
WrestleMania
racket.
2.
The idea of the tennis racket being
rubbish.
I mean, as a viable weapon, that was pretty.
The part of the problem is we've just had this amazing ladder match again, and it's hard. It's a really hard match to follow after that.
I think it's followed by the finish, but not the match itself. The finish itself ends a bit. I do think if you watch it by itself, it is a good Yokozuna match, probably because they were so short on time and it was sped up. Yokozuna messes Bret in the corner, to which Bret climbs the turnbuckle to deliver a bulldog. Nice move, especially to see Yokozuna selling it as well as he does. Yokozuna kicks out. Just so, it's a close count. You can see Yokozuna's putting a bit more energy into it now. Yokozuna belly to belly leads up for the setup to the banzai drop. We've talked about that too. Mabel also did a killer one, but Yokozuna's belly to belly look kick-ass.
Oh man, yeah, he's such a big guy though.
The moves he did, the few moves he did.
Believable, man. Believable. So he sets up for the banzai drop, but loses his balance and falls back.
Which I think is quite silly in context.
It is.
Like, you know, as an end to this pay-per-view, you know, it's not like a believable but humorous end, like the Bret and Owen thing.
No, here's the problem. Bret's not winning the title by defeating Yokozuna. Bret is winning the title by cashing in on Yokozuna's mistake.
Yeah.
There is no reason why at this point Bret couldn't have got out and drop kicked Yokozuna and then pinned him, and that would have worked so much better.
Absolutely, and it made Yokozuna look silly in a time when he was supposed to look unstoppable.
I mean, he'd been champion for a long time at this point. Yokozuna chases after Hot Rod, angry at him. And Bret Hart's finally done it, man.
Yeah,
the company are firmly behind Bret at this point.
Yeah, Yoko falls over, Bret gets straight into the pin, and then everybody goes nuts. You have Bob Holly come out.
Well, Lex Luger comes out first, and so we've got these two that were sort of back and forth with who's going to go, the sort of storyline between them two and Yokozuna. Lex Luger shakes his hand, sort of, well done, you're the
Luger
champion.
And Bret, there's a nice moment where Macho Man Savage is out.
Oh man, it's great. Piper comes back out, as well as all the faces from the back. It's Tanker, 1, 2, 3 Kid, Macho Man.
Bob Holly's there.
Yeah, man.
Sparky Plug.
And then Vince McMahon jumps off commentary and goes into the ring. I don't think that was planned. No. I think that was genuinely, everyone was so happy that the night had been such a success. It's not just about Bret being a champion. Vince is buzzing because he's seen one of the best pay-per-views come out of one of his weaker rosters that he's had for a while, and it feels like a real genuine celebration, and everyone's happy, and this is what makes the next bit so good. So Owen Hart comes out of the ramp and stares at Bret. What about me?
And it's so
what about me?
And Savage is doing the rope.
Savage is perfect. So what Savage does is sort of draws the attention to... Savage is so good at that. He draws the attention to Owen. He points to the audience where to look.
And no, everyone else is looking away at this time, looking at Bret.
The rest are all sort of messing about with Bret and stuff. Macho is so clever at doing that. Right, now I need the audience to look at this. He's almost like a director. Macho Man would have made a wicked movie, man.
Yeah.
Not a great rap album, but great movie, man. So again, we've had this storyline of Owen sort of winning finally against his brother, being better than his brother, and by the end of the night, his brother is on top, and he is again. Even though he's had this victory earlier on, it's been surpassed by his brother. Yeah. What a wonderful storyline, man. Beautiful. I mean, that's cracking.
Beautiful. And
it's the same sort of stuff that they're doing.
The vengeance and the anguish.
It's exactly the same sort of stuff that they're doing now with Ciampa and Gargano. It's great. Yes. It's exciting.
It's wonderful. Wonderfully done, and it is the most exciting thing on television right now, and that is on WWE television right now, I believe. And it's on. This was without question the best thing WWE had done at this time in a long time.
I agree.
In terms of a rivalry.
Well,
the most gripping thing.
Cool. Yeah. Oh, yes. Absolutely. In terms
of story. Same with Ciampa.
Well, I don't know. The only one I'd argue potentially not is actually Andre Hogan, which was massive, man.
It was massive. It was massive.
I don't think we can understand the scale of it, because Andre had been undefeated for 15 years. That's Undertaker worth streak. That's that moment, which is hard to go back and understand.
But I appreciate that in terms of perhaps the gravity of it, but in terms of two entertainers. Owen Hart is a better entertainer than Andre the Giant, as much as I love Andre the Giant, and Bret Hart is a better entertainer than Hulk Hogan.
Okay, cool.
I think. Disagree with me if you wish.
I don't want to.
I'm talking to the audience, but
cool. Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me anymore, man. Great pay-per-view.
Do you agree with me or not?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
But I think it's a big statement.
Hogan versus Bret is a bit more of a battle. Obviously, Andre was a great entertainer, but Owen Hart's a better entertainer than Andre. Hogan, Bret.
I don't know, man. That Andre heel stuff was great as well, though.
Oh yeah.
The whole thing with the rip off of the cross and stuff. That was great. I mean, we're comparing.
Look at me when I'm talking to you.
Earlier on, we was comparing cardboard. Now we're comparing diamonds. And these are both great moments in wrestling. And wonderful.
Okay. What was your grade? What's your grade for this?
So my grade, 4.5 stars, man. I think there's a couple of weak points in the pay-per-view, but there is always going to be weak points at a pay-per-view. There's two phenomenal matches and a wonderful storyline that goes all the way through this. So 4.5 stars for me. You? 4. Cool. Why 4?
I was not taken. Well, not as taken as you with the rest of the pay-per-view.
Okay.
I was taken simply with the Owen and Bret match. And the euphoria that occurs and the whole way that
the storyline's great.
The whole way that it ends at the end.
Favorite match?
Bret Owen.
Michaels Razor for me. I actually prefer Michaels Razor.
I prefer Bret Owen.
I think that's what's so interesting.
The story grabbed me more.
Yeah, I think I'm looking at it more of a match point of view, but that's fine, and that is great.
Well, yeah.
I'm not going to say you're wrong.
It's like a wrestling match. Then yes, okay, but this is sports entertainment, and I was most entertained.
That's fine.
By the Bret and
That's fine.
Owen match.
And I'm sure that there'll be people watching this who are going, well, my favourite match was this. My favourite. I agree with Anne. I agree with Dom.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's great about this pay-per-view. That I'm not going to argue with you that it was better or worse because they were both incredible.
Yeah. Cool.
Man of the night.
I'm gonna give it to Owen. I've given it to Bret before, but I'm gonna give it to Owen just because of the character work.
I'm going to give it to Michaels. I think.
I knew you would give it to Michaels.
I think Ric Flair was right. I think that he does such an amazing job with that ladder, and that ladder becomes a character in that match, which is so interesting. On to questions. Thank you so much for sending us in a question.
Man, thank you very much.
Susan, who is from the Macho Man Randy Savage, the greatest Facebook page, one of the greatest Macho Man Randy Savage Facebook page, asked us this question. She said, "What are your top 5 wrestlers of all time?"
You go first.
I go first. Thanks.
I mean, I can go first if you want.
You can go first.
Oh man, no, I didn't think.
Okay, I'll go first. No, let's do it vice versa. Right, number 1, Mick Foley.
I'll agree with that one.
So your number 1,
100% Mick Foley.
Mick Foley. My number 2. My mind's gone blank. Macho Man. Do you know, I never would have said Macho Man while you're thinking. I never would have said Macho Man before rewatching these pay-per-views, and he's just phenomenal.
Okay, he is phenomenal. Macho Man's Raven.
Raven, okay.
Raven, the legacy of Raven. Just he's seen in a lot of the darker characters. You see guys like Bray Wyatt, Aleister Black, and everybody is obviously, you could see they've taken from what Raven does. He was obviously an underdog in a lot of in terms of perhaps guys like Mick Foley and Randy Savage context, but he is the most decorated WWE champion in history in terms of his multiple title reigns with a hardcore title and stuff. So perhaps that's an interesting statistic for him and well deserved, but again, just one of the guys I would love to have seen be a world champion. Number
3, I don't know enough of Raven stuff. I'm looking forward to watching him when we get to him in the Attitude Era.
It wasn't in the Attitude Era in WWE.
Was it later?
It was later, but that wasn't a good run. That wasn't a good run. But we can watch it.
We will watch it if we're alive still. Next, number 3. Hulk Hogan. I'm joking. Number 3 is Shawn Michaels. Roman Reigns. Shawn Michaels, amazing performer, especially that second run stuff with Jericho. The Undertaker matches are phenomenal.
Absolutely.
The Elimination Chambers, the stuff with Triple H, I think it's incredible. And even his stuff now is a cut above most of the other performers.
Absolutely. 1, 2, 3 Kid. And
that's interesting.
And X-Pac.
Isn't that interesting?
And X-Pac. Again, this is personal. All of these people grew up. I grew up, wanting to be, because I'm a small dude. And I grew up idolizing the smaller guys, and the guys that went through the biggest challenges for one reason or another. The darker characters always appealed to me, and also the most high-flying, the smallest dudes always appealed to me. The underdogs.
Cool.
The underdogs always, and he was the classic underdog that birthed a style of wrestling in sports entertainment culture anyway. He helped birth it anyway.
I think what's really interesting, Dom, is like you've said that like 1, 2, 3 Kid is in your top 5, and I wouldn't even have him in my top like 100. I don't think.
I know.
You know, but that's interesting. You know, that's personal preference, and that's what makes wrestling great. That we can all have an opinion, and that's why we can have a podcast talking about opinion. You know, and many others do as well, and that's great. That's interesting. I'm looking forward to when we get to 1, 2, 3 Kid, more of his X-Pac stuff. To sort of watch that with you, so I can sort of understand your point of view a bit more.
A lot of people wouldn't understand.
No, that's cool, man. That's cool.
This is a personal impact on my life at that time.
Number 4 for me is going to be The Undertaker. Character, legacy, all of that, great. Love the dark side as a kid.
Okay. I'm going to go with Jake Roberts.
Jake the Snake, really?
Yep.
Wow.
Again, an underappreciated talent. You know, I can say Shawn Michaels, and I can say those two.
So why don't you?
Because I appreciate them, but then you give the arguments I would give, and also I think Jake the Snake is just an exceptional talent that again didn't get, well, you know, whether it's his fault or otherwise, you know, he didn't get a lot of the...
I like Jake's promo skills. I just think that the pay-per-views we've watched, I haven't enjoyed him as much.
I think he's an incredible performer. I would put him in my top 4.
Awesome, that's cool.
From this time, you know, I appreciate that this question is an all-time, and you know, I could look at present day and look at guys like Johnny Gargano or Bray Wyatt.
Well, you can put them in.
But I'm going.
So you're saying that Jake Roberts is better than Johnny Gargano?
I'm not.
You are, because it's your top 5 of all time, and unless Gargano is your number 5, then he is better than Johnny Gargano. You can't just put the alternative answer. You have to say the top 5 of all time, dude. Is Jake Roberts going in?
Let's keep him in. Let's keep Jake Roberts in. Yeah.
You mad? Yeah. Number 5 for me is I'm going with the most modern wrestler, actually, Shinsuke Nakamura. I really like Shinsuke Nakamura. I don't think he's been used on main roster since he's been moved up quite as well as he should have been. But his stuff with New Japan, man, if you go back and watch the AJ Styles match at WrestleMania, not WrestleMania, Wrestle Kingdom 13, was it? Is amazing, man. And that match where he comes in against Sami Zayn in the WWE remains like one of the best introductions to a wrestler for me. Amazing work by both men.
Incredible.
And I love his heel persona that he's moved into.
Yeah,
I love his face persona.
It's revitalised him, hasn't it? I think.
I get that some of the matches haven't always been great, but I still enjoy watching him, and I think he's such a character. And that whole Michael Jackson, but it's not even like I'm pretending to be Michael Jackson. This is really corny. He is the alien. If Brock Lesnar is the beast of WWE, Shinsuke Nakamura is the alien of WWE, and I think that's really exciting and awkward.
Yeah, it's a good point. And awkward.
Yeah, in a great way. The way he moves, like the whole sort of
it's gangly,
man. It's gangly. I love it.
Yeah.
And the kicks and the strong style and the Kinshasa, I think, is beautiful. I mean, there's other guys. What have you got? Your number 5?
Yeah, you go first.
Oh no, I've done. I've Shinsuke.
Oh, okay. Jeff Hardy.
Jeff Hardy, good call, man. Good call.
Jeff Hardy, just in terms of his impact, he's taken other potential picks like Shawn Michaels. He adopts Shawn Michaels. He adopts Sean Waltman, 1, 2, 3 Kid. He adopts the darkness of characters that I like Jake Roberts, Raven. You know, he was the guy that when I was growing up and I wanted to look cool, you know, like when we went to college and, you know, we were painting our nails and, you know, all that stuff.
That's what you want to see.
We were, you know, that was amazing. That looked so cool, and he still does it now and pulls it off.
Oh yeah, man.
You know, and
we don't pull it off as well these days.
Speak for yourself, brother. But you know, Jeff Hardy takes a lot of those, you know, guys like Shawn Michaels, and puts it into, and even, you know, like you can bet that Johnny Gargano has drawn from that kind of risk taking, but also Jeff Hardy knows how to be. He's not really done heel too much in WWE, if ever. He had a really good heel run in TNA.
Yeah.
And just his overall you know, the demons. I think the demons he's had to overcome. He's a great example of someone getting a second, fourth chance, and taking it and doing well. And he's overcome some odds and just an incredible performer. I think he's got a good few years, maybe a good couple of years left in him. And I'd like to see him do some stuff with guys like Roman Reigns, guys like Johnny Gargano.
Yeah, man, be exciting.
In the future would be amazing. So yeah, Jeff Hardy's my number 5 without question. The only one I would say is, have you got any that you would potentially replace in your top 5? Or
we'll just give a load of names, right? So let's not talk about them too much. We'll go people like Sting. I really enjoy watching his stuff, and I haven't seen enough, but I need to watch more. AJ Styles is phenomenal. Finn Balor is incredible. Nice. Seth Rollins is doing such good work. And then older guys, like, you can't deny Stone Cold. Stone Cold's great. I'm excited to go back and watch his stuff. Give us a few names.
Velveteen Dream, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Aleister Black, all the guys from that era. I appreciate the work of guys like Marty Jannetty, again, because of what could have happened for
Dudley's.
him. Dudley Boys would be great. From Attitude Era, but then I like all my characters are kind of similar, so I like guys like Bray Wyatt now, and I like the Vamp, I like Gangrel and the Brood at the time. Goldust, man. Absolutely legendary. You know what I mean? The Three Faces of Foley was an incredible time for wrestling.
Put Goldust on NXT now. He could do so much good work in NXT.
What, you mean just as a performer or as a back?
Yeah, man, get him to work with people in NXT.
Get him to a dream, that'd be pretty cool.
Dream.
What a way to end. What a way to end his career. Yeah, what a way to end his career.
Well, what a way to end this podcast. Yeah. Thank you so much. If you stick with us, we really appreciate it. And thank you so much for the questions. Any more, hit us up on Facebook, hit us up on Twitter. We'll do our best to answer them.
Don't forget you can buy mugs and t-shirts.
Yeah, man.
From Patreon if you fancy.
Please subscribe to our to our podcast on YouTube. Give me a whole
I'm Dom. That's Anthony.
And keep it
gay.